Our reading is from Rays of the One Light, Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. Today's reading is, Faith is a call to prayer. Prayer is a call to faith. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Matthew we read, Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Verily I say unto you, if you have faith, and doubt not, if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all things, whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Paramahansa Yogananda showed by his own example that prayer is a power, provided we believe deeply in that power. When our thoughts and feelings are strongly focused and then united in growing awareness to the divine presence within, they can bring even seemingly unrealistic wishes to fulfillment. When Paramahansa Yogananda was in charge of his school in Ranchi, India, he took the boys on occasional outings to the surrounding countryside. There was a waterfall not far away, he told Swami Kriyananda, where I took them sometimes. It was dangerous to cross there, but I would cry out to the boys, Do you believe in God? Yes, they would shout back enthusiastically, and so we always crossed in safety. Years later, after I'd gone to America, one of the teachers tried to do the same thing, but he lacked spiritual power. One of the boys slipped on a rock and was drowned. Thus, Master explained, belief alone is not enough. It must be united to one-pointed awareness, which leads to self-realization. The Bhagavad Gita underscores the necessity for such one-pointed concentration. Whenever the mind, fickle and restless, wanders off from its concentration, let the meditating yogi withdraw it resolutely, spurring every distraction, no matter how alluring, and bring it back again and again under the control of the self. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Can you introduce him?
You go ahead. You should go ahead.
Can you introduce them?
Reeman,
Huh?
she wants us to introduce them.
Okay, well, our good friends from Los Angeles, Dharmadevi and Narayan Romano, welcome them, please.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. We're just missing seeing you in person, but it's such a pleasure and an honor to be with you in this way. And hopefully very soon it'll get to be in person. So I'm going to read to you from Whispers from Eternity. And this whisper is, I baptize myself in the waters of my tears of love. Through long, winding pathways of self-doubt, fording mighty rivers that separated thee from me, trudging over endless wastes of barren lives, tossing dangerously on the rapids of many ambitions, arduously climbing steep mountain trails of desire, and carefully extricating myself from whirlpools of alternating sadness and hilarity. At last, I have reached my journey's end. I look upon all those past travails with joy. Every struggle, every past agony has produced a flowing spring of joyous, grateful tears. In the sacred waters of those tears, I baptize myself daily with deep love for thee.
Good morning, friends. It is an absolute joy to be with you. Second best to being in person, like Dharmadevi said. And we want to extend our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Nayaswami Padma and Nayaswami Hriman. There's a saying, if you're a soccer fan, in English Premier League soccer, when somebody goes on a run down the field, they say, "Go on, my son." And when Dharmadevi and I began Ananda Los Angeles, we felt that type of support from Padma and Hriman. They said, "Go on, my son," and my daughter. And they were so loving and supportive and encouraging. And they were and continue to be a tremendous support and friends to us, and like all of you as well. You know, I thought I would begin just by reminding you, you're in that beautiful Blue Lotus temple, and how Master said to immortalize your ideals through architecture. And what is the ideal that we all share? It's that single pointed goal of self-realization. And the Blue Lotus temple represents that immortal and infinite ideal so beautifully, because it's the expansion of consciousness. It's the infinite self, and that's who we really are. Swamiji, you may know, had his first home at Ananda Village was a dome. And that structure, it represents that ideal that we're striving for. So this topic this morning is incredibly important to us. I know when I was meditating on it, it's one of those kind of spiritual paradoxes, the way Swami's saying it. Faith is a call to prayer, prayer is a call to faith. What does he mean by this? Well, I wanted to share a story with you that happened to one of our community members here recently in Ananda, Los Angeles. This man, we met him a few years ago, and he's on the path of discipleship and Kriya Yoga. And he got to this point in his journey where Dharmadevi and I are broadcasting from our community in LA, where we have a mini community of 2 homes, an apartment, a tiny home, and there's about 20 of us that live together. So a room was opening up, and this man, we had spoken with him for some time, and he expressed the desire to move in, and we all felt it would be a really positive next step for him and everyone in the community. And so he had a little bit, though, of trepidation, as you can imagine, about moving into a spiritual community and what that would mean, and even bringing up feelings of self-doubt, which we all face at times. And he's a very serviceful man. And so he, before he moved in, the day or so before, he took it upon himself to clean the big wool carpet that we have in our meditation temple. And so he did, and if it's a wool carpet, you have to do a special dry clean. And he got this special vacuum and did this whole, and it was beautiful. And everyone was very appreciative of his generous spirit in this way. And so one of our other friends in the community said to him, upon hearing about how he cleaned the carpet, he said, "Oh, you're my hero." He was just expressing his gratitude. And unbeknownst, our new friend Freddie, it deeply touched his heart, because he had an older brother that used to say, "You're my hero," and his brother has passed away. But it was a very simple thing. And that phrase, "You're my hero," it was like a divine synchronicity for Freddie, that he felt like God was confirming for him that he was moving in the right direction spiritually. And Freddie shared this in our satsang that we have within the community. About 15 of us gather on a weekly basis. And he got choked up for a moment or two when he was sharing this story. And there was just a pause where people held him in that space. And it was very touching. And then sometime later, we have another friend in the community who's this big man. He's an ex-Olympian. He's huge. And he jokingly said to Freddie, "We don't cry here." And we all laughed because he was saying it with mock, severity. But it was Divine Mother, plays her games, because then at the end of that satsang, I asked Dharmadevi to chant, "Will that day come to me, Ma?" And I completely forgot, but those of you who know that chant, "Will that day, oh, come to me, Ma? Will that day, oh, come to me, Ma? When saying, Mother dear, my eyes will flow tears." And so that was the chant. And I said, you see, these are the kind of tears that we want, which is that love for God. And that's why I so appreciated that whisper from eternity that Dharmadevi shared, that I will baptize myself daily in those soul cleansing tears. Master talked about tears and sighs are the liquid cowardice of a weak mind. And yet here he has a chant talking about the tears of love for God. There's a big difference there. And that the difference is how we cultivate faith. It's funny, it dawned upon me, maybe what Swamiji is talking about here, faith, right, is the power of our soul. It's the intuitive conviction that we have. Like Master said when he had his experience of cosmic consciousness, that he cognized that center as a point of intuitive perception within his own heart. And so when we feel God's presence deeply in meditation, when our heart becomes calm, then we can lift that energy up. And like Master said, the point between the eyebrows is the broadcasting station. So we can broadcast a prayer demand, and then we can receive with deeper faith in the heart. So this is very important for us to get to that point where we churn belief into faith. And like Master said, that belief is like the hypothesis, but faith is the evidence, as Srimam was sharing in the prayer, or the results, right, of running that test, of running that hypothesis. And you all had your Kriya initiation last night. Kriya Yoga is the way that we run the test. What is our hypothesis? I am a child of God. And how do we realize that? Through the deepening conviction of our soul nature within. Do you recall this topic reminded me of Master's story in Autobiography of a Yogi, and how he said, two penniless boys in Brindaban, when his older brother challenged him to this test. "Oh, I want to see if your vaunted philosophy, young brother, can be put to the test. You and your friend go to the nearby city of Brindaban. I'll get you tickets, but you have to come back by midnight without begging or telling anyone your predicament." And we all know that the miraculous tale. But I want to share the story within that story when Master was in Brindaban and he met that young man who said he had a vision. "You're my guru." And Master initiated that young man into Kriya. And he said, "It will be your Chintamani." That's a Sanskrit word for like a wish-fulfilling stone. Have you heard of like the Philosopher's Stone? You just rub it and what you think of comes to truth, comes to fruition. And he said that of Kriya. So we have this sacred Chintamani. We have this wish-fulfilling stone that we can use to realize the belief that we have and churn that belief over time and polish that Chintamani, that spiritual gem, in time into true faith. And it's like how Master said, over time, you won't even recognize yourself, because that's not everything that we pile on, of course, isn't who we are. It's that deeper soul nature. It's that immortal ideal of the self. And that comes through that deepening sweetness and love for God that we can cultivate. And one of the ways that Swami gave to us to do that is cultivating the relationship with Divine Mother. You might remember this story that he would tell, that when he was in SRF and he had this just fleeting, trivial desire for a box of Swiss chocolates. And at that time, there was no Amazon, right? You couldn't get things from the other side of the world so easily. And he just had this fleeting desire. And some months later, he forgot about it. And then someone nearby said, "Oh, I found this box of Swiss chocolates and I thought of you and sent them to you." And Swami said, "I was so deeply touched because it was such a trivial desire that Divine Mother would fulfill that." Think about that. And think about our deeper desire, which is cultivating love for God. One of my favorite chants right now, Dharmadevi's been chanting, is "In the Valley of Sorrow," where Master says, "Oh my Lord, I want to see only you, you, just you." When we cultivate that desire for God alone, like the reading is saying today, this single-pointed awareness, the single-pointed concentration, that's really the all-important thing. That's how we cultivate deeper faith, because everything else is just noise. It's a distraction. And the Gita is telling us to bring ourselves back again and again, faithfully, resolutely. You know, I like to think that there is a conspiracy happening right now. There's all these things swirling right in the world, and noise around the pandemic and big government and whatever way you could spin it. But there's a conspiracy between the masters of self-realization. Remember in our festival how we say, how Christ said to Babaji, "Let us together, united in Christ's love." They are conspiring for our self-realization. And all we have to do is improve our knowing. And the way that we improve our knowing is we deepen that desire that we have for God alone, so that when he comes and asks, "Well, what do you want, my child?" And we respond, "Oh, my Lord, I want only you, you, just you." God bless you, friends. It is our joy and honor to share service with you, and we so look forward to seeing you in person in God's time.